For most of her life, Princess Caroline of Monaco has been called the most elegant woman in Europe. Calm, quiet, unshakable. But behind that serene face is a story most people never hear. Because in the Grimaldi family, love comes with a price. They call it a curse. Caroline lost her mother in a car crash. She lost her husband in a fatal accident. And when she finally tried again, the man she chose ended up in police reports across the continent. So what really happened in that third marriage? The truth is stranger than the rumors. January 23, 1999, Caroline's 42nd birthday. She walked into the mirrored halls of the prince's palace to get married for the third time. Few people knew she was already pregnant. Waiting for her was a German prince, a man whose ex-wife had once been Caroline's own friend, whose temper made headlines across Europe, and whose royal title belonged to a kingdom that no longer existed. By this point, Caroline had survived more grief than most people face in a lifetime. She'd buried her mother. She'd buried her husband. She'd fought her way back from a loss so heavy it made her hair fall out. And yet that day she chose to believe in a new beginning. She had no idea what it would actually become. Legend says the Grimaldi curse started in the 1200s, when a prince wronged a woman and she cursed his bloodline, that no member of the family would ever find lasting love. For centuries, people dismissed it as royal folklore. Then the 20th century happened. Scandal after scandal, broken marriages, sudden deaths. Caroline's own sister Stephanie became tabloid fodder for her chaotic love life. But two losses hit Caroline harder than anything else. And they're the reason her third marriage makes far more sense than it first appears. Caroline was born in 1957, the eldest daughter of Prince Rainier III and Hollywood icon Grace Kelly. From the outside, her childhood looked like a fairy tale. Then, on September 13, 1982, Grace was driving home from the family's country house with 17-year-old Stephanie when she suffered a stroke. The car went off a cliff. Grace died the next day. She was 52. Cruel rumors claimed Stephanie had been driving. They were false, but the damage was done. Caroline was 25, and in her grief, her father made a request that would define the rest of her life. Take your mother's place. Become Monaco's first lady. Caroline agreed, not really as a choice, she later said, but out of duty. She spent the next years as the emotional center of a grieving family, and in many ways of the entire principality. Before any of this, Caroline had already survived one disaster of a marriage to French playboy Philippe Junot in 1978. Grace had begged her not to marry him. It fell apart in under 2 years. But after her mother's death, something genuine finally arrived. Stefano Casiraghi, a powerboat racing champion, heir to an Italian industrial fortune, and unlike Junot, completely scandal-free. They married quietly in December 1983. Caroline was already pregnant. Over the next few years, they had 3 children, Andrea, Charlotte, and Pierre. For the first time, Caroline had something the Grimaldis were supposedly cursed to never keep. A stable, happy family. It didn't last. On October 3, 1990, Stefano was defending his world offshore powerboat title near Monaco. Earlier in the race, he'd stopped to help rescue a competitor whose boat had caught fire. Racing to make up lost time, his own boat hit rough water, flipped, and crushed him. He was 30 years old. Caroline was in Paris when she got the call. She came home a widow at 33, with 3 children under the age of 7. His funeral was held in the same cathedral as her mother's, 8 years earlier. Caroline disappeared from public life. She moved to a quiet village in southern France, away from Monaco's spotlight, and raised her children almost entirely out of the public eye for years. Then in the mid-1990s, she resurfaced, and the world was shocked to see her hair gone. Alopecia, the palace claimed, but many believed it was the visible weight of years of unresolved grief. Then came Ernst August of Hanover. On paper, he looked impressive, head of the House of Hanover, descendant of Britain's King George III, holder of grand historic titles. In reality, Germany abolished its monarchy after World War I. The titles were empty. All that remained was the name and a reputation for a violent temper and constant infidelity. He was already married to Swiss chocolate heiress Chantal Hocouli with 2 sons. And here's the detail that made it explosive. Chantal was Caroline's friend. By 1996, rumors of an affair were everywhere. Photos surfaced of the two of them together. Chantal filed for divorce, and on January 23, 1999, Caroline's birthday, the same date as her wedding to Junot years before, she married Ernst August in the palace's Hall of Mirrors, pregnant with their daughter, Alexandra. Because of his royal bloodline, the marriage legally required sign-off from Queen Elizabeth II herself. For a moment, it looked like Caroline had finally found her second chance. It fell apart almost immediately. In 1999, Ernst August was fined for assaulting a photographer. In 2000, he made international headlines for publicly urinating on a Turkish pavilion at a World Expo, triggering a diplomatic complaint. Later that same year, he was charged with brutally beating a man at his property in Kenya. The press gave him a nickname that stuck for the rest of his life, the Wild Prince. While Caroline had spent her entire adult life building a reputation for quiet dignity, she was now married to a man who couldn't stay out of a police report. In 2005, as Caroline's father lay dying, Ernst August fell into a coma from acute pancreatitis. Rainier died the next day. Caroline faced the loss of her father, while her husband was still fighting for his life. The marriage never recovered. They drifted, living in different countries, then different lives. By 2010, photos surfaced of Ernst August kissing another woman. Divorce seemed inevitable. It never came. More than 15 years later, Caroline and Ernst August are still legally husband and wife. No divorce was ever filed. She lives in Monaco. He lives between Germany and Austria. On paper, married. In every other sense, strangers. Meanwhile, his life kept collapsing. He fought his own son in court over family estates he'd handed over years earlier. He boycotted his son's wedding entirely. Then in July 2020 came the darkest chapter yet. Police were called to his Austrian estate, where he reportedly attacked an officer and had to be restrained. He was hospitalized in a psychiatric ward, in the same small town where his daughter with Caroline had been born 20 years earlier. While her husband's name kept appearing in police blotters, Caroline quietly rebuilt her life. She never lost her composure. She never gave the tabloids the reaction they wanted. Today, at 69, she's regarded as one of Europe's most respected royal women. She leads the Princess Grace Foundation. She founded the Monte Carlo Ballet. She's been a UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador since 2003. And she raised 4 children, largely as a single mother, who Prince Albert himself has publicly praised. 3 husbands. 2 devastating losses. 1 marriage that technically never ended. And through all of it, Princess Caroline never let the world see her break.